In the spring of 2025, Vanessa Paradis sat quietly in a Paris studio, the sunlight dancing through the blinds as the journalist posed a question that had lingered in the public's mind for years. If you could describe your years with Johnny in one sentence, what would it be? Vanessa's eyes softened, her lips curling into a small, thoughtful smile. Devastating, she said quietly. He loved me like a storm, and I was too tired to keep rebuilding. There was no bitterness in her voice, only a profound exhaustion that only years of intense love can create. It was the kind of love that had transformed her world, but also left her weary. A woman who had tried to protect something fragile, only to see it swept away again and again. This was not a tale of betrayal, but of erosion. A love that had once been pure, now worn down by time, distance, and untold struggles. The quiet beauty of their love. When Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis met in 1998, the world saw two opposites collide. The restless American actor, known for his eccentric characters, and the grounded French singer, whose voice seemed to embody melancholy. Their connection was instant, an undeniable spark between two souls who were looking for something deeper than the surface. Johnny was captivated by the simplicity of Vanessa's presence. He noticed her back first, an unassuming sight that spoke volumes. When she turned, everything about him softened. For the first time, Hollywood's chaotic noise became background to something quieter, something real. Vanessa was not impressed by his fame. Instead, she was drawn to his silences, the moments when the world faded, and only he remained. They traded fame for a life in the quiet countryside, away from the world's constant gaze. For 14 years, their relationship was marked by a peaceful, yet complex love, the balance of opposites, love and chaos. At first, their differences were complementary. Johnny, with his intensity and dark energy, was the storm, while Vanessa, with her calm and steady nature, became his anchor. She provided him with roots, grounding him in a way that Hollywood never could. He, in turn, gave her fire, a spark that ignited her own artistic journey. Their love was not conventional, nor did it need to be. They never married, perhaps as an act of rebellion against the traditional expectations of fame and love. Their bond was organic, unspoken, and yet deeply rooted in a shared understanding. Their world was built on music, laughter, and the simple joys of family. Johnny spoke of Vanessa with reverence, often admitting she saved him. She, on the other hand, saw him as a poet, unaware of his own artistry. Together they formed an unbreakable foundation, or so it seemed. The cracks in the foundation. Love as survival. But as time passed, cracks began to appear in the foundation they had built. Johnny's need for constant reinvention, his restless energy, and the pressures of fame began to take their toll. Vanessa, ever patient and understanding, tried to protect their world, but even she couldn't escape the inevitable erosion. She spent nights writing music in solitude, pouring her feelings into French lyrics. Her songs, often fragile and elliptical, captured the tension between their two worlds. The dynamic between them began to shift. As Johnny worked endlessly, chasing after roles and projects, Vanessa became the constant. She was the lighthouse, steadfast and unwavering, while he was the ship that couldn't stop chasing the storm. It wasn't a matter of anger. It was the slow buildup of distance, a series of missed moments and unspoken words, the imbalance of their love. As the years went on, Vanessa began to feel the weight of their imbalance. Johnny's work became all-consuming. The tension in their home grew as he retreated into himself, chasing intensity and danger in his work, while she remained at home, maintaining the rhythm of family life. She wrote songs about love, but more often than not, those songs were about endurance. "I hold the door open, but the wind never enters," one of her lyrics read. It was a quiet confession of the unspoken truths that hung between them. Johnny, the artist who thrived on chaos and transformation, was slowly unraveling. His need for intensity had become a form of self-destruction, and Vanessa, ever the patient one, was caught between trying to love him through it and losing herself in the process. The quiet departure, realizing her own needs. There came a moment, a quiet realization, when Vanessa understood that she could no longer follow Johnny into the storms he created. She began to feel the loneliness of holding space for both of them, the weariness of trying to keep everything intact while he continued to drift further away. It wasn't anger that led to her decision. It was simply the recognition that their love had changed. Love had once been a mutual force, but now it was something that required constant repair. She understood that her love for Johnny had become a quiet form of sacrifice, where she gave more of herself than she could afford to. In the end, there was no dramatic confrontation. There was no betrayal. There was only erosion, slow, inevitable, and painful. The end of the storm. Love without rescue. Johnny's apology would come, as it always did, after the storm had passed. But Vanessa had reached the point where the pattern had become too familiar, too predictable. She had been the one to stay, to weather the storms, to rebuild time and time again. But eventually, the rebuilding became impossible. She wrote in her journal one day, "Love cannot be both rescue and residence." It was a truth she had known for years, but had never fully accepted until now. She could no longer live in the space between loving someone and losing herself in the process. The storm, once a source of passion and connection, had become an unmanageable force that neither of them could control. They tried again, of course. Vacations, new routines, a hope that the calm would return. But every calm was temporary. The storm always came back. The legacy of their love. A quiet goodbye. In the years that followed, the world watched as the storm that had once defined Johnny and Vanessa's love finally dissipated. Their love story was never about betrayal or scandal, but about the quiet, invisible erosion that slowly took its toll. It wasn't the loud moments of heartbreak or the public dramas that defined their end. It was the exhaustion, the realization that love, no matter how deep, can become something that requires too much sacrifice. Vanessa's songs, her lyrics, were her final message to a love that had once been full of fire and passion, but had burned her out. "When he's kind, the world feels rewritten," she had said. But that kindness was no longer enough to keep the storms at bay. Their love had become a pattern of emotional triage, constantly surviving, but never thriving. A new beginning, embracing the calm. After their separation, Vanessa began to rebuild her life, not in the chaos of Hollywood or the storms of a tumultuous love, but in the peace she had longed for. She found solace in her music, in the quiet moments of solitude that allowed her to rediscover herself. No longer the steady one holding the home together, she now found herself learning how to live for herself. The storm had passed, and in its wake, she was left with the quiet beauty of a woman who had learned that love, no matter how deep, cannot be the only thing that defines you. She had given so much of herself to someone else that she had lost sight of her own needs. But now, in the calm, she was finally able to find the strength to rebuild on her own terms.